At the Okoli Law Group, we specialize in producing justice. If you or a loved one in the Atlanta metro area is facing serious criminal charges, then you need serious legal representation.
The Okoli Law Group is here for you. The Okoli Law Group is here for us.
The Okoli Law Group, serious legal representation.
Really love this brand because first off, the products are quality. I have amazing hydration. You guys can see the shine. You guys can see the definition.
Peace, family. We are live again. Dynasty Mirror search for Uhuru. Hold on. Let me make sure. There we go. We're good to go. We are live again. Dynasty Mirror search for Uhuru. Thank you all. Thank you so much for joining. Hit that like button again. Please hit that like button. Also, make sure you share and make sure you subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. Have a couple of announcements before we get started. Announcement number one, we are rolling to Nigeria. We are rolling to Nigeria August 3rd through the 12th. Again, we are rolling to Nigeria August 3rd to the 12th. If you're interested in joining us, please visit Danfo.Africa. Again, please visit Danfo, that's DANFO.Africa to learn more. Guys, give me a second. I'm messaging Dre. So we're rolling to Nigeria in August. Zanzibar in September. If you're interested in joining us in Zanzibar, September 21st to the 30th. Then we are rolling to Namibia and South Africa in November. That is going to be November 7th through the 18th. Again, November 7th through the 18th. Then Sierra Leone, December 20th through, December 20th through the 29th. All the information can be found at Danfo.Africa. Again, Danfo.Africa to learn more. Let me plug in my laptop before it goes dead. Let's see here. Early Exodus, what's up with you? How you doing? Please visit Danfo.Africa to learn more. We will love to have you, love to host you. Guys, give me a second. Let me grab my charger real quick. Shout out to Mr. Ife Olua. Thank you for the phone 99 holla. We appreciate you. Thank you for the phone 99 holla. Thank you so much. We appreciate you guys. We're waiting for Dre. Dre should be joining us here shortly. But today's topic, we're going to be talking about, and let me give this disclaimer before we get started. This is not financial advice. Please do your own research. Dre is into real estate. He's going to discuss his real estate journey and his real estate and his citizenship journey in Ghana. But again, this is not real estate advice. Please do your own research, okay? Dynasty Mirror isn't selling anything. But if you want to holler at Dre, that's between you and Dre. But that's what he does in that is what he does in Ghana. He is a developer. He has some pretty dope properties. Yeah, just waiting for him to hop on. What do you guys think about the Supreme Court ruling? In fact, we're gonna do a separate show on that. Birthright citizenship. Who was it intended for? You know, this was the birthright citizenship solely intended for Black Americans, descendant of slaves, or who was it? Who was it intended for? So, in fact, let me pull this up real quick. Let's do everything in our power to keep the borders open to Africa. When you say keep them open, what do you mean? When you say keep them open, what do you mean? Like, what do you mean keep them open? Are you saying like having wide open borders? Like, what do you mean by that? All right, so let me play this CNN article. News story. Hold on, real quick. Let's pull this up real quick. Fair use, CNN, fair use.
I'm going to go to Paula Reed. She's been reading through the opinion. Paula, what are you gleaning from it?
All right, Pamela, here's what we know. This is a big win for President Trump because he has been railing against these so-called nationwide injunctions. This is the power of a single judge to block an executive order for the entire country. And this case came up as a result of multiple challenges to his effort to limit birthright citizenship through an executive order. Now, here it appears that the justices are agreeing with Trump and limiting this power that judges have to block a policy for the entire country. Now, on another issue, it does not appear that they have weighed in on whether Trump's effort to limit birthright citizenship is or is not constitutional. Instead, they are limiting the power of these judges to block policies for the entire country, which will likely allow Trump to proceed with this effort to limit birthright citizenship while the larger constitutional questions about whether he can do that are being litigated. Now, just to explain to you the significance of this, one of President Trump's lawyers told me this is the ball game for President Trump's agenda because we know more than any modern president, he loves to govern through executive action. And the majority of these have been blocked by lower court judges. So he has not been able to follow through with things he wanted to do on the budget, on mass firings, on immigration. So now that the justices are limiting the power that judges have to block those policies, this is going to allow them to implement these policies more quickly, though it is possible that some of these might come before the justices in 2 or 3 years with constitutional concerns. But right now, the question was really whether a single judge anywhere in the country could block an executive action for the entire nation. And here, in a historic opinion, the justices are limiting that power. And again, President Trump's lawyers have told me this is the case that they are watching. This means everything for the president's ability to govern through executive actions. Now, we'll say these nationwide injunctions, this is a bipartisan concern. These have plagued every modern president. But because President Trump does so much through executive action, he has faced the greatest number of these nationwide injunctions. So he and his Republican allies here on Capitol Hill, they have been railing against these. This is a pet issue for them. And now the conservative supermajority siding with President Trump and his Republican allies to limit this power from judges. A huge decision.
So just to be precise, Paula, this was a 6-3 decision, 6 conservative justices, 3 liberal justices. Is that right?
And it was authored by Justice Amy Coney Barrett. Now, some of her conservative colleagues did also opine concurrences here. We're still reading through those. We have old school, the paper copy. It is very long. We're still getting through the whole opinion. So these are just the top lines, but this is enormous. This is yet another huge win for President Trump from this conservative supermajority. Now, we have been reporting since Trump took office in January that his lawyers were telling me, even though a lot of their policies were getting bogged down in the lower courts, that anything they could get in front of this high court, that they would ultimately win. And they were playing a long game. And this decision right here, this is proof that this long game they've been playing for the past 6 or 7 months, they've won, and they've won big time.
All right, Paula, stand by. We'll get back to you as you continue reading this opinion, and we'll see what the final decision is with a lot more specific details. I want to go to Jeff Zeleny. He's over at the White House for us, where they're watching very, very closely, probably more closely than any place else in the country right now, what the U.S. Supreme Court is doing.
There's no question about that, Wolf, and exactly what Paula was saying there. This is about something much broader than birthright citizenship. Yes, that specific issue was the venue to get this to the Supreme Court. That will likely be decided on a different day, but it is just the idea of this power of the executive branch that really is at issue here. It's hard to think of another administration, and I've covered the last 4 or 5 presidents, I guess, that has used their executive authority as much, and it's been challenged by lower courts. Now the Supreme Court is weighing in, and it is giving the executive branch considerable power. One White House official, and they're reading through this opinion in the White House counsel's office just as everyone else is, but is pointing to this line. And in Justice Amy Coney Barrett's opinion, it says this: when a court concludes that the executive branch has acted unlawfully, the answer is not for the court to exceed its power too. So basically, if the executive branch has exceeded its authority, a judge cannot also weigh in, a singular judge. So the White House is viewing this ruling as very consequential. It could affect a variety of policies, a variety of cases that exist really across the spectrum of what this administration has tried to do. So there's no doubt, even though...
Oh, you said they flagged what video? What video got flagged? Whoa, what video got flagged? Hold on, let me see something. Yeah, nothing got flagged. What video got flagged?
Birthright citizenship was something the president long talked about, he campaigned on. This is bigger than that in a sense because it is broader, and it's answering a question, at least for the moment, about the power of the executive branch that many lower courts have raised into question.
Jeff Zeleny at the White House.
Yeah, and obviously this impacts the power of the executive branch, but it impacts every single American as well. And I think that's a big focus here, because I remember, Ellie, during the oral arguments, one of the concerns brought up was if judges can't do the nationwide injunction, then you have a patchwork where the plaintiffs, are under the injunction, but others in America wouldn't be under that. And so that's really the question here. How does it address that issue?
Yeah, and in this case, in the birthright citizenship case, there was something like 6 different lawsuits filed in 6 different district courts. This case is an amalgamation of 3 of them that went up to the Supreme Court. So now they're going to be back in the district courts. That's where most of the action happens in the federal judiciary. We're very focused on the U.S. Supreme Court. But this question remains in flux. People who were born to parents who are not citizens could have different status in different districts at this moment. I do want to read to the point that Paula and Jeff were making. This is a good sense of why this is so important. It's a quote from the opinion that's on page 5, written by Amy Coney Barrett. She's writing for the 6-justice conservative majority, an expansion of presidential powers, a reduction in the powers of courts. Here's what Justice Barrett writes. By the end of the Biden administration, we had reached a state of affairs where almost every major presidential action was immediately frozen by a federal district court. As the number of universal injunctions has increased, so too has the importance of this issue. And I think that's a nice encapsulation of why.
Hey guys, we got Brother Dre here. Brother Andre, let
and
me
not just Donald.
We'll go ahead and jump right into it. Hey Dre, what's going on, bro?
I don't know much, brother. How's it going?
I'm doing well, man. Can't complain. Can't complain at all. Thank you for joining us.
You need a little bit more light. Is it too dark in here?
I mean,
Let me get some light. Let me have some light.
Okay.
Is that better?
Yeah, that's a whole lot better. That's a whole lot better.
All right.
Yeah, man. How you doing?
Man, no complaints, man. Just another day in Ghana.
Okay, how's Ghana right now? How is it? Now,
You know, it's better than on the U.S. on that side over there. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I tell people that I'm free, and so despite the challenges here, you know, the pros outweigh the cons in being over there. You know, I'm black and I'm free. You know what I mean? And so I'm a man. I'm not a black man. I'm a man here. So that explains it a lot to a lot of people.
You brought up the challenges. Let's jump into the challenges. What are some of the challenges? Especially you're a real estate developer, and I know how the land situation in not just Ghana but Africa in general can be kind of tricky.
Right.
What kind of obstacles do you face there in Ghana?
Yeah, it's definitely tricky. 90% of the cases in court are land issues. You know what I mean? So they ain't doing like violence and these issues, this issues there, here. You know, it's mostly due to land issues, families selling land they didn't own or individuals trying to get over. And so those are some of the hurdles so that you have to try to figure out and navigate before moving to Ghana. I always just recommend getting a good lawyer that's verified and getting a good land certified surveyor before making any purchases here in Ghana.
Now, you mentioned getting a certified lawyer. Expand on that, because expand on that, because I've heard stories how the lawyers are sometimes in on the hustle. So
yeah, you know, and just people. The thing about Ghana, you gotta do your due diligence before coming over here. You know what I mean? And so people think it's cheap and X, Y, and Z. And so, you know, at every step of every turn that you might try to make, you know what I mean? You might have a character here and there who's going to try to get over. And so you just have to do your due diligence. You know what I mean? Check your people, have recommendations from people who've done the same things you're trying to do. It's like we in a rush. Ghana don't work that way. Africa don't work that way, and where you need to be rushing things. Take your time. I had a brother from my hometown, Kansas City, Missouri, where I'm from. He came last week and he was like, man, you know, the guy that he been communicating with online via it's going to cost like, I think like $6,000 to go view some land or something crazy. You know what I mean? It was something crazy. And he was like, nah, brother, I can't do that. That ain't what we talked about, X, Y, and Z. And so he ended up not going with the guy. And he reached out to me. We had a mutual friend. And he was like, I'm trying to buy some land. I'll leave next week. I'm like, brother, don't work that way. You shouldn't be in a rush to buy land. Take your time. You know what I mean? This is the first time here. I understand your excitement, but it doesn't work that way. We just come a week and then buy some land. You know what I mean? And so take your time. And so I sent him some resources of people I know that's been vetted, who do good business. And, you know, he'll be back soon trying to make his land purchase.
So as far as your projects go, tell us more about your real estate projects in Ghana.
Yeah, so I'm right now developing 105 total units. We're finishing off 13 houses and duplexes that we built. They're all sold. I got like a waiting list next of like 30, 40 plus on the next batch of homes and duplexes. It's not just those from America. We have Nigeria. We have Nigerian buyers. We have Ghanaian buyers. We have Liberians who have bought. And so it's not just those from the U.S. And so we're doing some condo units. We're going to start construction soon. We've been delayed a little bit. And so we're building units for people to make that easier transition coming back to Ghana. It's not easy to try to figure these things out. So just trying to make it easier for those in the diaspora to come back, sustainable, properties where we got solar, we got battery backup, we got water filtration, just those things that people are looking for when they move into Africa.
Right. Right. So what brought you to Ghana from Kansas City?
I always knew I was going to move to Ghana. I just didn't know when, or not. I know I was going to move to Africa. I just didn't know when and where. You know what I mean? I always, for like I say, since 2010, I knew I was going to move to Africa. My uncle's house used to be called Little Africa. And so I was always go over there, and it was always talking about Africa this, Africa that. And so a couple of things stuck to me. Said, if I'm African American, what do I know African? So, I started studying, reading history and things of that nature. And then I had a partner who did agricultural, same type of stuff I was doing in Kansas City. He was out of Atlanta named Kashan with Habasha. We connected. I was seeing what he was doing in Ghana. He was coming back and forth between Atlanta and Ghana. He built his house, and he was just like, I had all these questions like a lot of people have. And he was just like, just come. And so I came doing a year return, 2019. As soon as I touched it to ground, I felt at home. You know what I mean? I fell in love with it. And so from then, I put the wheels in motion to move to Ghana. And I think I was going back and forth. COVID stopped a little bit. And as soon as they lifted that ban, I came right back, you know what I mean? And was living my best life. And then I think I moved here maybe like 3.5 years ago. So I've been here about 3.5 years full time.
So 2019 was your first time going to Ghana?
Yeah, first time.
Oh, wow. Well, have you been to any other countries on the continent?
No, I just was going back and forth to Ghana. And so since I've been doing this real estate, developing here, I really had time to explore Africa. Like I said, before coming to Ghana, I've been different places: China, Brazil, DR, Canada, a lot of different places I was traveling to. And I was like, if I'm going all these different places, why haven't I been to Africa yet? And so it was just like, now's the time to come to Ghana. You know what I mean? A year return. I didn't even know it was a year return till that December of 2019. You know what I mean? And so I found that out, and I came, and I was like, man, I fell in love with it.
So tell us, so you're building condos. You mentioned 135 units you're building.
105.
105. I'm sorry. Can you go into just the process of acquiring that much land and putting and organizing and putting that all together in Ghana and finding builders and people who are reliable? It's just a lot of moving parts.
A lot of moving parts. I don't know what I was thinking. You know what I mean? I didn't set a goal to come over here and start building, man. I was trying to find beachfront land. I couldn't find it. People were trying to get over. And so I couldn't find it. I was flying back and forth from the US to Ghana, you know what I mean? Like every 3 to 4 months, trying to find this land, meet with agents and X, Y, and Z, paying all this money, digging fees and all this kind of stuff.
Digging fees.
Yeah, not digging fee. It was fees to come see the land. So they had like land guards, you know what I mean, in certain areas. You know what I mean? And so land guards,
the little area boys that protect the land or serve as security.
Yeah, something like that. You know what I mean? So you got to pay them, you know what I mean, to come look at the land. And that's how they get money. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's a hustle, you know what I mean, where the agent has set people up to go there so they can get money from that side and they get money for coming to view it. So sometimes it's a hustle. So these are things you don't know until you have to figure out the hard way. So I was trying to find beachfront, couldn't find it. So my partner that brought me here, Kashan, he was like, hey, I got a guy up here up in the mountains. He's pretty transparent. We sent some people through him. He had some land up in the mountains. So came up to the mountains, had to get a machete, parked about half a mile away and walk to the land with a machete on a mountain. You know what I mean? And I seen a vision of what it could be. You know what I mean? I envisioned like what houses are looking like in California, on the California hills with the nice views of the mountains.
Yeah.
Yeah, the city lights at night. And I'm like, you know what? This is something that could be done. And so I bought 3 plots of land, which is like 70 by 100. Like I'm gonna build me a house here. You know what I mean? That was just my thought. I'm gonna build a house. But then I was doing tours. I got a tour company, so I was bringing people to Ghana. And then people was like, "Hey, what's going on in Ghana? We want to live here. Want to build here." I was paying hotels like $30,000 to $40,000 when I was bringing groups here. So I'm like, you know what? This money needs to stay in my pocket. So why don't I just build for a community? And so, I came up with some renderings and plans, and all of a sudden I became a developer. You know what I mean? And so it wasn't nothing set where I was going to be like, okay, I'm going to come to Ghana and be a developer. It just pretty much fell on my lap, looking at all the issues that we have, trying to figure out the land issue, the build issue, and all that kind of stuff. So I said, you know what? Let me put something together that's going to make it a lot easier for us to travel and then build to what we used to. You know what I mean? And so looking at things a little bit differently. So if you want to like Airbnb the property out, you want to have these nice views, what's going to make people want to stay in the property. And so put a lot of thought into the process, and this is where we at now.
So you're in a Bury, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, I've been. Bury is beautiful. Yeah, Bury is beautiful. Yeah, how's the traffic going up and down though once you get to the city? Like I know
the traffic's not bad. It just depends on like if it's a funeral. Like Saturdays and Fridays and Saturdays, if it's like a funeral, then you might be stuck in the traffic. You know what I mean? Going down a mountain. But other than that, it's not really a problem. I could probably get to the airport in 45 minutes to an hour, depending on traffic. If it's no traffic, I can get there in about 35 minutes.
Okay, that's not bad. That's
not bad. It's not too bad.
Talk about your so you have citizenship now in Ghana as well.
Yeah.
How was that process?
So people, citizenship. So they originally gave it out in 2016 with the current president Mahama, and then in 19 was a year return where I think 16, was like less than 20 people got citizenship, and then 2019 it was like supposed to be 200 people, but then it ended up being like 120 something people who got citizenship, and then in 22 you had about another 100 and some people who got citizenship who was supposed to get in 2019. And then in 24, the process was if you was here in Ghana from, August to November, then you're pretty much getting a citizenship. You just have to be here. So we probably paid about $300. You got your biometrics, which is your fingerprints and your face, picture of your face. Right. You have to talk to the Ministry of Interior to ask you questions like how long you've been in Ghana. Do you plan on moving here? You got any children? Are you married? What did you do back home? What are you going to do in Ghana? So there's a lot of different questions they asked you. Wasn't nothing crazy. And once you went through all that kind of stuff, man, and you was here for those 4 or 5 months, you're pretty much getting citizenship. And so it was an executive order by the outgoing president who wanted to give citizenship to people. And so I think it was 524 people who got their citizenship that day. So it was an easy, streamlined process. You just have to be here. Now that has closed as of now. And so just have to wait and see. So I think they're talking about another round of citizenship, maybe this year. We don't know. So we just sit back and wait.
That was going to be my next question. If the president now was the president who started the initiative, if he's going to do it again. So that'll be interesting to see, get some more folks citizenship. So they do something similar in Sierra Leone. I have my citizenship in Sierra Leone in Nigeria.
Okay.
Sierra Leone has a citizenship by DNA. So that's been going on since 2018.
And how long was that process once you can show that you have
DNA? So what they were doing originally, every April and December and November were swearing in ceremonies. And if you took a DNA test with African ancestry, and if the results came back Sierra Leone, you were good to go. You just show up to one of those swearing in ceremonies. But they changed it now. Now you have to come twice and you have to wait a year. And but they've opened it up to more DNA companies. So it's African Ancestry, Ancestry.com, 23andMe, which is bankrupt now, and another company called CRI Genetics. So if you have any type of DNA with Sierra Leone with one of those test providers, you come either April or December with a licensed tour company, which I am, and then you come that following April or December to get sworn in.
Okay, that's not bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's the cost?
So you pay for the tour is right at $5,000, and that includes international flight. And then the second time you come, you just come on your own. I just give you the dates of when and where to be, and you get sworn in.
Yeah, that's not a bad deal at all. You know what I mean? When people seeking citizenship, you know what I mean? I tell people having one citizenship is too close to having none. You know what I mean?
Say that again. Hey, say that again. Say that again.
Yeah, one citizenship is too close to having none. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so, especially in this political time we're in, you just never know they're gonna shut them doors down. You know what I mean? So if you stay ready, you have to get ready. So, you know.
Like my boy Sugar Free said.
Yeah. So you gotta have options, you know what I mean? And so that's one of the things I tell people, that we gotta have options, and not like, 30 years ago we didn't know what was available to us because we just didn't know. Now via social media, you see what's going on in the continent, you see what's going on home. We ain't got to deal with the certain things we had to deal with back in the States we always had to deal with. So, we have options to go in different places, so these are some of the things that, I try to explain to people that, explore. What the worst that can happen, you have to move back to the States and get back on that treadmill and keep doing the same thing you was doing before you left. You know what I mean? And so, these are the options, especially being a Black man. Tell people I'm not a Black man here. I'm a man. That's a totally different thing. I'm a man. I'm not a Black man. So I'm free. I don't worry about police. I ain't worry about nobody trying to kidnap me. I don't worry about nobody trying to rob me. You know what I mean? So these are things I don't have to worry about being a man here in Ghana. You know what I mean? It's not a utopia. I don't try to paint the picture as if Ghana is, this magical land is Wakanda, because it's not. It has more than its fair share of issues, and it just depends on the person. The pros outweigh the cons for me, and so that's why I'm here.
What how did your friends and family receive when you told them that you were moving to Africa?
I always traveled, so you know what I mean. It wasn't like it was a big surprise to people. I always did different things and other people, so it wasn't no surprise. Like I had a greenhouse back in Kansas City growing fish in the middle of the hood. I had goats and chickens in the middle of the hood. You know what I mean? I breed insects, you know what I mean? So it was no surprise to a lot of people, some of the things I was doing. I got a patent for breeding insects and growing fish.
Oh, wow.
You know what I mean? So it wasn't like, something new at all. He's doing something that's out the water. Like that's who he is. So they seen it coming.
Guys, links in the chat room. If you guys want to call in and ask a question, you're more than welcome to click the link in the chat room and call in and ask a question. Again, if you guys are more than welcome to click the link and call in and ask a question. Again, link is in the chat room. Don't be shy. We'll take a couple callers and then we'll if people are interested in you're in acquiring real estate. And guys, once again, this is not financial advice. Please do your own research. Again, this is not financial advice. Please do your own research. But if anyone wanted to reach out to you and they had any questions in regards to real estate, how could they contact you?
So what I just got back from about almost 2 months now. I did a 14 city tour in the U.S. 14 city tour. We went to New York, Baltimore, DC, Charlotte, New York, Atlanta, Houston, Dallas, St. Louis, Chicago, Detroit, LA, Oakland, and back home to Kansas City. So when we did the tour, we talked about investing in Ghana. We talked about retiring, moving, and doing things as a collective. A lot of times when we come to Ghana or Africa, period, we work in silos. You know what I mean? So we're trying to figure things out ourselves. And so I'm like, we need to start working as a collective to try to figure things out and build. So as a part of the collective, what we plan on doing is buying land as a collective, building as a collective, going and get our materials, because 90% of the stuff you're going to use in Ghana is imported in from China. So going to China, getting things at retail, at wholesale, you know what I mean? So it brings down the cost, and then also help facilitate others who want to do the same thing and being part of the collective. So this is what we're doing. And that's why I went to the States, to gather people. So we got about 100 plus people in our collective, and we growing, every day. And so these are some of the things that we need to do moving to Africa, where we shouldn't be trying to be like a rites of passage program, trying to figure things out on our own. And so just every encounter that I have to figure out as far as like buying land, getting lawyers, surveyors, this shouldn't have to be, figured out every time somebody comes. Be part of this collective, we can lean on each other and do things and keep each other accountable and bring our skill sets, our resources to the table to help build up Africa.
Go ahead, Lewis.
Yeah, hello there, Dre. Hello, Dynas. I'm so happy, Dynas, that you've got this man as a guest today on your show. Yeah, I know now that you still got Ghana in your heart somewhere, Dynas. Right, well done.
Man, I love Ghana. I love Ghana.
That's right. This brother here, he's got that spirit. Every time I see him on YouTube, he's been interviewed. As someone who's into I don't know if Dynas, if you've seen the show in the past. I'm a furniture maker by trade, Dre, and I'll be in Ghana hopefully from January onwards. I'll be starting my factory. I'm just finishing my my house off right now, so I'll be there before January. But hopefully I should be there from January onwards. I'm gonna try and get in touch with you because I think I got some skills that you can use quite well. Watching you from the start, the location you picked was perfect. The designs are beautiful. You're professional in your presentation, and we've watched. Dynas, you got to show some of his estate. You got to put some of the clips out. So those of us here in England who are looking to come back home, you're the sort of brother we want to meet. Because every time we see someone like you, we're inspired and we feel ashamed. We've been here for years. You got to turn up and you're doing what we want to do. So I'm just ringing up the show to say, listen, well done. I know things are going to go well. And then when some of us come over, we're going to join you. And hopefully, things will just go on smooth from there. But you've done the hard work. You've gone on broken ground that even some of us who are from Ghana have not even done that. So I just want to say, listen, keep it up. Okay, we really, really admire you. And hopefully we're going to join you very soon.
Appreciate you, brother. Appreciate you.
We appreciate
you. Look forward to meeting me coming over. I'll be here.
Good. Yeah, I've got your information from your website and also from David Cameron's shows he done with you. But every clip I see with you on there, right? Okay, I'm watching this. Yeah, and hopefully when I get there, some of my portfolio, because I'm a former student in College of Furniture. When I get down there, brother, you're going to get that international standard I know that you require. So hopefully, hopefully soon. I'll be in touch. But keep up the good work, my man. Yeah.
Thank you, brother.
I just wanted to ask one question because it's something that comes up when it comes to the leasehold in Ghana. It seems like some of the people in America don't understand that is not unusual. The leasehold is not a bit. Do you find it is a problem for some people when they're asking about leasehold?
Yeah, they always have that. They think that, okay, I'm leasing it. I'll never own it. But I tell people you don't ever own anything in the U.S. either. Try not paying your property taxes for 3 years and they'll take you home there. If you build it in a place that the city won't or the government won't, they have what's called intimate domain where they'll take your property. They'll give you money for it, but they'll take your property. So you don't never really truly own anything in the U.S. And so I tell people here that you have some locked down for 50 years and if you get your citizenship, it depends on how you do your indenture. You have the first right of refusal to get it for another 50 years. You know, and if you get your citizenship, you just get it renewed and get 99 years. So it just all depends on the situation. And so I tell people, if you have your land for 5 years, you should be able to get your citizenship within a 5, 10 years, 20 years. If you don't get it within 20 years, you ain't trying to get citizenship. You know what I mean? And so it's up to you within the 5 years to get it, and then get your lease or your indenture renewed, and you should be good to go with 99 years. So it shouldn't be an issue.
Lovely, lovely. And just out of interest, because I have friends I'm inviting over who are looking to do similar things in other places. We as Ghanaians, we are often quite frustrated with the government at home, you know, and I was quite happy with Nana Addo's administration, but there's a lot of stuff that needs to be improved. What would you like to see the Ghanaian government do that will really help investors like you, coming from the Black community from the diaspora? What was the one thing that you would like the government to do?
See, that's a hard question to ask, because it's like, you know, who am I to come over here when the people that's from here need so much help and resources? You know what I mean? Yeah, I got about 100 people at the site, including contractors here 6 days a week that I'm employing. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, of course, there can be some things, you know what I mean, as far as tax breaks or something that can be put in place for people who's going to be providing jobs for the locals who are doing stuff for their families. But as of now, it's like, you know, they have more fish to fry, I should say, before I can get, you know, in front of the line. You know what I mean? Roads need to be done, infrastructure, things like that that can be put in place for those who provide jobs and helping building a community should be put in place. But like I said, there's people here that's been on the ground, that things need to be happening for the locals more so than myself to just moving over here.
And last but not least, I heard that under the last administration that they were actually providing more lands for developers such as yourself, where they're going to provide the water, the road works, and so on. Have they done anything to change that? Have they put anything in place for that
No,
you know of?
I haven't heard or seen anything like that as of yet. Hopefully that's going to be the case, but you know, they just now getting their feet wet in administration, so maybe it'll come my way, you know, soon. But like I said, it's still early on in administration, so hopefully they'll start doing something soon.
Good, in time. All right, then, brother. I won't keep you too long, but Dennis, please make sure you show this brother's work while he's
Let me pull it up. Let me pull it up.
Yeah. But
Appreciate
get used
it,
to me,
brother.
Mr. Dre. You're gonna see more of me.
All right,
Lewis from London.
Lewis from London.
Right.
Got you covered.
All right, brother. All the best.
Same to you.
All right.
Dre, all right, peace. Dre, do you plan on building outside of Ghana or outside of Bury Hills, maybe like Cape Coast or even another country?
We're looking at Prom now, so some beachfront and Prom. You know what I mean? I got my eye on, and so that's the next move. It's like 5.4 acres over there, and then it's another 3 acres. You know what I mean? I'm trying to get. You know what I mean? So trying to move over to Prom, right on the beachfront over there. So we'll see how that goes. So hopefully I can go ahead and get that purchased by the.
Okay, let me. I'm on your YouTube page now.
Yeah, I don't even think I got much on YouTube. I'm on everybody else's YouTube except my own. You know what I mean? So
okay.
Yeah, I don't even know what's on that YouTube. That's how bad it is. Like I need to start posting something like once a week. I just haven't got into it yet. That was on my to-go list this year, but I just haven't made it through.
You busy building. Here we go.
Yeah, and I think that was maybe 3 months ago.
Living and residing in Ghana, West Africa. I first came to Ghana in 2019 during a year of return.
I know you have more recent videos of what you built.
Yeah, I do. Like I said, I think that was probably 3 months ago, possibly. You know what I mean?
This video right here?
Yeah, that video is probably about 3 or 4 months ago.
To Africa, just didn't know when,
I know you
where,
got
and how.
Like the stuff.
So in 2019, I embarked on a journey along with other 1,000 people who came during a year of return. Said I'm free. Aspire.
Oh, let me do this real quick. And guys, once again, links in the chat room. We'll be on for another, if that's okay with you, Dre, another 20 minutes?
Yeah, that's fine.
Let me Let's see here. Where am I at? Where am I? Here we go. How does it feel to have your citizenship in Ghana?
It feels good. I mean, really, they can't. It feels like I don't have to go back. You know what I mean? With this whole immigration thing with Trump and all that kind of stuff going on, it's like I'm home. You know what I mean? This is more my home than the U.S. You know what I mean? And so not having to go back, if I didn't want to, it's a good feeling to have. So yeah, I'm enjoying it, man. Just trying to, show other people options that we have. And so I'm no different than anybody else who came, who had a vision and was able to implement, and I'm still implementing. It's not easy. I mean, it's definitely work. Like you mentioned before, trying to find contractors, trying to find builders, engineers, trustworthy people. That's a job within itself. You know what I mean? And so this is just work that, when you focused on, that's what you can get accomplished. So this is where we at. That's what we doing out here, in the Bree Mountains.
We gotta get you over in Nigeria or Sierra Leone. At least come visit.
Yeah, I plan on going to Sierra Leone. I got some friends from Sierra Leone that been trying to get me to go and visit over there. I'll visit Nigeria, but what people don't understand sometimes, they're like, okay, you want to build over here in this country, you want to build over there. It's like, it's not just you building homes, you got to build a community. You know what I mean? And so you got to go talk and see the chiefs in the area. And you got to make friends with the police, the officials who are over there, the locals, you know what I mean? You just can't prop a house up in the middle of nowhere. It's going to be somebody's home. And you integrate them inside of a community instead of just a home. And so that's a problem people have when they're looking to buy real estate in other countries. It's like, where are you moving to? You know what I mean? What is the community? What is the local community like? It's like, you have to be able to create those relationships where I'm building a community, you know what I mean? And so I just can't go and pop up a home and develop or put a property up in somebody else's community without doing the legwork that it takes, you know what I mean, to build that community. So that's a big difference in what I'm doing compared to what other people are doing.
Guys, links in the chat room if you want to call in and add to the convo, or if you got a question. So I said, pull up the Web Nation interview. Okay. Web Nation, fair use, Web Nation, fair use.
Yeah, that's my guy over there, Web Nation.
Here we go.
I think that a Web Nation.
Oh yeah. And you're actually going to walk through your property.
Yeah, I think that was like maybe
about a year ago, 2 years ago.
Probably about 8 months ago, probably.
About
8 months ago.
Okay.
My name is Sal. When he was young, and he admits that probably saved his life. Half of all his brothers are dead. Accommodation. So he decided to build and take advantage of the opportunity.
I'm going inside with him, so he shows us around. How does the inside even look like? And so yeah, guys, come with us. So, Mr. Dre,
this is your property,
yes, sir.
Yes.
This is a beautiful house, by the way.
Thank you.
First question: why black on the outside?
Just doing something different. You know what I mean? All black everything. You know what I mean? And so you don't really see black.
Hey Dre, the stupid question. So your black house is it like you have any gray in it, or is it just all black, the exterior?
All black. All black.
All black. Okay.
Black house in Ghana. So I wanted to do something different than what everybody else was doing. You know what I mean? And so that's why I went black.
Interesting. Okay, let's go inside. So how many bedroom is this?
This is 3 bedrooms, 3.5 bath.
Okay.
So this was the first unit that we've done. And it's the first unit that we've done, owned by a lady from the city that I'm from.
It's nice.
And she had bought it. It was just first making bricks on the property. And so if you see the bricks here, these are called earth bricks. We're making them here, and it's cooler than traditional cement blocks that you see in Ghana, how most people build. And so when you feel them to the touch, it's not warm like you see or you feel other blocks when you touch them. And so the temperature in here is probably about 10 degrees cooler than it would be if it was cement blocks. So it saves on energy. And so now with all the windows being closed, just the fan on, it doesn't feel hot in here. You know what I mean? So
and there's no AC on, right?
There's no AC. And so you think your AC might be on, but it's not on. You know what I mean? So these are one of the things where it saves you money by using earth bricks as opposed to cement blocks.
I see. And you don't cover them?
No, I mean you can if you want to, but this is more like industrial type feel for those who like that type of style. But you can always tile them if you want to tile them.
Okay. Wow. So it looks nice. All these finishes are sourced here in Ghana, or you?
Yeah, everything was sourced here in Ghana. All the woodwork you see is up here in the Bree Mountains. So a lot of wood carving, a lot of woodworks up in the mountains. So from the beds, the chairs outside, it was all made and carved up here in the mountains of the Bree.
I see. How many people do you have? I mean, we'll talk about that. How many people do you have working on the site at the moment?
Dre, so how's like sanitation, like trash collection? Like how do you, what are you guys doing for that? What solution do you guys have for that?
So we're like a 1% maintenance fee, and that covers trash, landscaping, 24-hour security, and somebody clean the house once a week.
Okay, so after you buy, so it's like an HOA, kind of.
Yeah, something like that. People hate the word HOA. They got on me about HOAs as a management fee, but what people understand is like there's not like a maintenance culture in Ghana and probably Africa, period. You know what I mean? As far as like the show property, people take care of their own stuff, but you know, these are investment properties for some people, so we want to make sure that they're maintained and we're able to keep them up to standard, which most people are expecting when they buy one of the properties from me. So just alleviating any issues that you might have moving in. So who's going to do your landscaping, you know, having 24-hour security, all that kind of stuff, just alleviating all the issues when you move into Africa.
Now, is it a gated community at all or no, or?
Yeah, we're going to put a gate up. So right now we're just trying to acquire as much land as possible. And once we acquire much land, then we'll put a gate up because, you know, we got to put in infrastructure. So when you build in Ghana, I had to put in a makeshift road, maybe like a quarter-mile long to get to my property. I had to bring in my own street poles, my own street lights, you know, and tied to the electricity system here, you know, so it's a lot of stuff you have to do that people don't anticipate you doing because usually that's what governments usually end up doing. But these are costs that got to come out. So we're just trying to get as much stuff built or get as much land so we can absorb some of that infrastructure costs on our build as much as possible. Then we'll put a fence up around the property.
I don't think the government even does it. You know, the number of properties just in Africa in general and in Ghana, that you'll have this big, beautiful home, but a dirt road will lead up to it.
Yeah, and so like I said, I have to put a road in because, you know, this is what we expected. And so I want to buy as much land. So that's infrastructure costs that I've got to absorb into the bill. You know what I mean? And so nobody in the community is really trying to help put in on the road. You know what I mean? They expecting you to do it. You know what I mean? And so this is something where I need to buy as much land as possible so I can put the road in and benefit from it because, you know, nobody else is trying to do it. As soon as you put that road in, just like now, my property where I'm at now, because I put a road in and have access to it, and people start buying up land all around me, you know what I mean? Because they want to be by some infrastructure. You know what I mean? And so it's like, you know, I need to buy as much land that way I can benefit from what I'm doing.
So you bought the land and you paved the road.
Haven't paved it yet. And so what we usually end up doing like twice a year, we'll grade it down, make it even, do X, Y, and Z. Just when it rains, it cuts into the road and creates the craters in X, Y, and Z. But right now we just maintain the road until we're able to, you know, actually pave it. And so once we pave it, then, you know, the prices go up and nobody's trying to sell you anything. And so I'm not trying to pave it until I get as much land as possible. And then we'll pave it at that time.
So technically you own the road.
No, I don't own the road. The government supposed to do it, but just waiting on them to
Oh,
do
but they're
it.
not doing it right. Okay, got you. Okay, yeah.
They supposed to do it, but the chance of them coming to where I'm at to do it is slim to none. So we have to see, you know what I mean, what's going to take place. So
I would think they would, you know, I would think the that Bury area would be priority to the government because it's beautiful.
yeah, I mean, I've seen some roads getting put in, you know, as of late. And so I don't know what that looks like. And so we just got to talk to the General Assembly and see what could be done as far as the road is concerned. So we got a neighborhood association meeting Sunday that we're going to talk about the road and see where we go from there. And so there is association in the neighborhood. People think I started it. I didn't. They invited me here. And so they are concerned Ghanaians with the community as far as planting trees, you know, upgrading the community, security and things like that. So this is something that we built and bringing together as far as a community.
Okay. Guys, links in the chat room. We'll be on for another 5 minutes. So link is in the chat room. If you want to call in and add to the conversation, go ahead and click on that link if you guys have any questions. And so the site to get in contact with you, is it beyondtheinvestments.com or?
Yeah, the beyondinvestments.com. They can reach out there. I'm on Instagram, Drake Taylor 51.
Okay.
But yeah, the Beyond Investments is definitely where you can contact me at.
Okay. So I'll put the link to your Instagram in the chat room as well. So if anybody wants to reach out, link is in the chat room. And I guess you guys are being shy. You know, people are always talking about building in Africa. We have somebody that's actually doing it.
Yeah, you know, it sounds good in theory. You know what I mean? And so you actually have to come over here and do it. You know what I mean? It's not an easy process. You know, take your time. Nothing happens in Africa fast. You know what I mean? And so tell people, you know, don't rush to do anything, because when you rush, that's when issues happen, because nothing happens fast over here. And so do your due diligence, pay that money up front for your lawyer, your surveyor, and consultant. You know what I mean? People don't like to get consultants because they think they're taking their money. But I'm telling you, once your money gone in Africa, that money's gone. Once you get your money, once you pay somebody over here, that money's gone. So don't expect to get it back. You know what I mean? Once you pay somebody too soon, and never pay nobody up front for anything.
Go ahead, Skywalker. Unmute yourself. You'll be the last caller. Skywalker, unmute yourself.
Okay. Hey, Diners. Can you guys hear me well?
Loud and clear.
Yep.
Okay. Well, I was just calling, man, just to congratulate this brother here, man. Excuse me, on building in Africa. I mean, it's a dream of mine. When I'm able to get my funds where they need to be, I'll be trying to come over there, you know, and do the same thing. I really just don't understand why the African Union hadn't set aside some land for the diaspora anyway, which in my opinion would completely alleviate any kind of development problems that they have, because they will have acres and acres of complete skill and knowledge to their disposal if they was able to, you know what I'm saying, to do something like that. But and the fact that we have to individually, you know, go over here and do that with very little help from the government.
Skywalker, when you say for the diaspora, you mean to give it to us or to buy?
Hold on. To buy, or you know what? Preferably to give to us. I mean, because we obviously have an inherited right in Africa, because, you know, we're African. But if we have to buy, then so be it. I mean, if African Americans could organize themselves to get some money together to purchase some land from the African Union, then that's cool. But me personally, I think we shouldn't have to pay for anything. I think the benefit that Africa would get from this huge, you know, collection of skill and knowledge from around the world that are descendants of Africa would pay for itself. You know, that they wouldn't have to go to China, Russia, or anybody for anything, because they got their own hub.
Jay, you're 10 toes on the ground. That argument, the diaspora coming and bringing their skills, and the governments aren't doing enough to invite the diaspora, and, you know, we could kick China and Russia out. What are your thoughts when it comes to that argument?
It's a double-edged sword. I don't think they should give land for free. Because there's Ghanaians here, there's Africans here don't get land for free, and they've been here. You know what I mean? So we'll give somebody right to have land for free when the people here don't have land for free. Lands are owned by family here for the most part, and so it's not a situation where everybody in their family just get free land. And so if they're not getting free land, the locals don't got free land, what makes it right for us to come back and get free land? And so some of the benefits of being here, being from the diaspora, is nothing that's stopping you, brother, from coming over and building with other like-minded individuals who's doing stuff here on the ground. You know, you can go to YouTube and see who's building, take a trip and see who's doing what and contribute to what they're doing and adding to it, so you got to start from scratch. You know, in the Cebu in Ghana, by Cape Coast, they have land over there they set aside for the diasporans. It's not free, but it's around like $1,200 to $1,500. You know what I mean? So that's always something you can get. $1,200 to $1,500. You know, you can't beat that. Your property taxes on their property taxes on that. Your property taxes on that gonna be less than 100. Yeah, property taxes on that could be less than $100 a year. You know what I mean? When you build your property, it's still gonna be less than $200 a year. You know what I mean? So when you look at the benefits and the price of living that you're gonna have over here, and you being free and being a man is worth more than being over in the States. You know what I mean? As far as being a black man, you're not gonna encounter nobody trying to kill you. You gotta worry about police pulling you over because they white. It's not because you black, it's because they white. So you're not worried about that. And so it's a lot of different things where if you got sons and you know, young men in your family and you got friends that's being killed, X, Y, and Z, you got a chance to live over here. You know what I mean? And so to be human, you know what I mean? And so these are some of the things brother, where these are the pros of being over here, where it's not like they got to do something. We got to do for ourselves sometime.
Yeah, I was, you know, and I'm definitely, you know, and I agree, but I was kind of, I mean, nothing you said was wrong. I don't disagree with anything you said, but I was speaking like more on a more, you know, industrial giant collective scale, you know.
Yeah, I get like it. And I think, and not to cut you off, but like, you know, when Ghana had the year return and they said come back home, it should be a call out for the diaspora and say, these are the industries we need help in. These are the skill sets we need help in. And so it shouldn't have been like, just come back, party during Daddy December, X, Y, and Z, come back. So we don't have to rely on the Chinese. We don't have to rely on the Lebanese. We don't have to rely on the Indians that's here, because all these groups are here except us. And so when we point those fingers and be like, oh, why the Chinese over there? And they got 8,000 people who apply for residency to be in Ghana. Why are they coming to Ghana? Why are the Indians, 7,000 Indians, applying to come over to Ghana? You know what I mean? So you have to ask yourself, what do they see in Africa that we don't see? You know what I mean? So they seeing all the opportunity, but we sit on our hands talking about why they ain't doing this, why they ain't doing that. Everybody else is here except us. Everybody here except us. Yeah, I agree, brother.
I was gonna say also, the last thing I was gonna say before I get off is, you know, I'm preparing. Like I said, I'm doing a lot of things right now preparing to try to get over to Ghana. I've even already made myself fluent in Chi, or at least which is a major language in Ghana. So, and I got a friend here where I'm at that was from Ghana that kind of helped me get even better at speaking Chi or whatever. So I think when I touch down on the ground, you know, they say when you speak the language of its people, you're talking to their soul. And I think that might be another reason why, you know, the Chinese have been, you know, because I mean, when the Chinese, they learn the local language, you know, they come over there. I'm pretty sure they probably talk English, but, you know, a lot of them learn the local languages and stuff like that, which is, you know, make you more persuasive if you're able to speak in the local languages. So I encourage African Americans to try to find some kind of African language and learn it. So when they do touch down, they can be more persuasive and you know, negotiate in the native languages.
Yeah, it definitely opens up a different world when you understand the language.
Yeah. Wokai Chi. Do you speak Chi?
I speak small, cry.
Ah, okay, little, little Chi. Okay. Well, that's good. Well, you know, Niami and Shira Wolf, brother, and Niami and Shira Wolf, my brother, which means God bless you, and you guys take it easy, okay?
I appreciate
you, brother. Thanks for calling in. See you on this side.
Okay, brother.
All right, go ahead, Cuddy. You the last caller. Only reason I brought you up, Cuddy, because you in Burkina Faso and Dre's in Ghana. So go ahead, Cuddy.
Okay, big salute, Donis. Big salute, Dre Day. And big
Right
salute,
on.
Chat. Hey, big salute, brother. Hey, you in Ghana doing your thing. I'm tired of people asking me about Ghana, and even though I'm next door in Burkina Faso. But
Right.
I'm glad you coming over here and you crossing the T's and dotting the I's, big bro. You know, cause one thing I do gotta I want to ask you is the citizenship process. Like, it don't make sense to get your citizenship in Ghana first and then be worrying about land versus any African country, really. But ain't that how the process go anyway? Get your citizenship first, then you worry about trying to purchase land and doing all that.
Nah, you don't have to be a citizen to own land in Ghana. Anybody can own land here.
Okay. Okay. So why are so many people having problems then?
It's just the culture. You know what I mean? They don't do their due diligence. And you don't know what you don't know. You know what I mean? You don't know, if the families own the land, or it's a whole bunch of stuff when buying land. You just don't know until you go through the process. And so that's some of the issue that we uneducated about the process.
So, like, when you say process, like, can you be a little bit more specific? Like, what you mean going to the courthouse, hollering at government officials? When you say do your due diligence, because you got to remember, you talking to black folks. Some people don't even know what due diligence is, bro. So you got to be more specific. That's one thing I learned too, because I was saying the same thing. Y'all got to do y'all due diligence, but brothers told me, man, I don't even know what due diligence is, bro. So we got to be more specific.
So when I'm online, 'cause I got like 140 some thousand followers on Instagram. So I'm like, join our collective. If you really truly interested in buying land and moving to Ghana, join our collective. Like, oh, $25 is a lot. I'm like, you think you coming to Ghana, investing in Ghana, that $25 is a lot? Like, this is a big move. You know what I mean? And so in that collective, we got 2.5 hours from our lawyers talking about buying land, succession plans, starting a business, all these different things you need to do, and moving to Ghana. You know what I mean? We have other resources there as far as like hospitals, like what hospitals take American insurance. You know what I mean? How do we move as a collective so you're not moving by yourself? You know what I mean? Who's going to check on you if something happens? You know what I mean? So sometimes people move in silos. I want people to know what they're doing, but you become a target sometimes. You know what I mean? Like I said, Ghana isn't a utopia, but it's a lot safer than America. You know what I mean? But sometimes you still have to be aware of your surroundings and X, Y, and Z. And so this is what we build in a collective. So you're not having to figure this stuff out. We already done ironed out everything. I done the hard work that needs to be done. Our lawyers are legit. You know what I mean? My surveyor, Savit. You know what I mean? We got a partnership with the Sport Office of the President. You know what I mean? Talking today, I had a meeting with the bank here, Fidelity Bank, and starting a partnership with them. What does that look like? I got insurance through Fidelity Bank because sometimes your life insurance might not cover you if you in Ghana. And so what does that look like? And so it's a lot of different things that people are not thinking about when they move. They need to put in place that we putting in place for the collective. And so when I say do your due diligence, get a lawyer, you know what I mean? Get a surveyor that's been vetted. And we have a history of, 3 to 4 years that I've been working with both entities where everything's been good and they're going to lay everything out that needs to be laid out. You know what I mean? And so instead of paying $2,500 for a lawyer, going to collective and hear the stuff you're going to hear for $25, and you ain't got to pay that $1,000 or some of $2,000 what they're going to tell you that's already in the collective anyway. You know what I mean? You get a land purchase agreement. They're going to try to charge you $500 to draw up that we already got a template for your land purchase agreement. You know what I mean? So it's all this kind of stuff that we are available. It's just sometimes we don't want to pay for things that we need to pay for.
Yeah. And they will pay for it in America. So why not pay $25? Man, that's a lookout.
I can't, that's who we are. You know what I mean? So yeah. I don't get mad. It's just, you have to figure out the hard way sometimes.
That's what's up, bro. You right. So
I'll try to, where you at in Burkina Faso?
I'm in Ouagadougou, the cap city, baby. Yeah,
all right, we trying to
eBay all day.
Yeah, I'm trying to get up there. There's just a group of us from CRA that's trying to get up there for citizenship, hopefully soon. So I think they thinking November, October or something. So we're gonna try to make our way up there.
Yeah, they just trying to figure out the vetting process because all skin folk ain't kinfolk. Can't let
Exactly.
no snakes in the garden.
Exactly. So that's what we're trying to do and wait on that. So we just we'll be online. So when that happens, we'll be over on that side over there.
Okay. Now I'll try to get some information and I'll try to pass it through because I'll be more on YouTube than Instagram. Once I finish this new jewelry collection, because that's what I'm into in Burkina Faso. I'm into the gold, silver, jewelry. I'm into all that resource. So
Yeah, and I tell people all the time, man, we were out in jewelry and we don't own no gold mines. You know what I mean? Like it makes no sense. And so I
come
know
on, bro.
Burkina Faso, there's a lot of opportunity. I just went to a gold mining conference in Ghana, and it was disappointing seeing that all the major gold mining companies are not non-Ghanaians.
But that's
So they
changing,
taking
though.
out
I know you seeing the changes. It's finna change. Give them a year.
they
You see the
taking
money
billions.
already going up.
They taking billions and billions of dollars a year out of Ghana, and they wonder why the roads look the way they look. It's because they letting billions of dollars that they own slip out of their fingers. Like I said, Ghana and Burkina Faso, West Africa, period, can look like Dubai if we control and nationalize their own resources. You know what I mean? That's how fast it can be built up in the next 5 or 10 years to look like Dubai if they wanted to, with the amount of resources that's here in West Africa. You know what I mean? It just, once they figure this out, nationalize things, we'll just have to go from there.
Yeah, you're right. But I'm glad I'm seeing the change. I know you seeing the changes too. So everything that we want to make I think it's gonna happen. Anyway, due to the changes in the governments that's going on. I don't know if you're noticing the changes yet, but I noticed the changes where I'm at. So I'm pretty sure that you'll notice and feel the changes soon once they make a full transition, and come on and join it.
Yeah, it's slowly but surely going on. You know what I mean? The city done went down. You know what I mean? It's bad for people who got the dollars over here. You know what I mean? Because they nationalized, some of the gold, but it ain't where it should be. But it's a step in the right direction from where it's been in the past. So, you got to tip your hat to them moving forward on that.
Yeah, most definitely. And I'm gonna land with that, man. I gotta salute you, bro. Salute Dynasty, because we the ones that gotta show all the other folk how to do it. So we special, fellas. Always keep that in mind. We the special ones. We the chosen ones. The others gotta, you feel me? So we gotta keep what we doing. So keep what y'all doing, bro. Keep doing what y'all doing, no matter what. And I know y'all gonna do it anyway. But I gotta salute y'all on that. I'm glad you had bro come up and had people come in and put their input, man. But main thing I want to do is salute y'all, man, because I see the difference in us and the others. We lead, we build, they'll follow. All we gotta do is lead and build, baby. And y'all already see they following. So we just gotta keep doing what we doing, and everybody else will fall in line, bro. So stay on it, fellas. It need to be more.
Appreciate it, brother.
And stay on it.
Appreciate you, bro.
Fellas.
Yes, sir. Dre, anything else you want to share in closing?
Nah, we pretty much covered. We got the Beyond Collective. We trying to build as a collective. We trying to buy materials as a collective. We're looking at, a product as a collective. You know what I mean? And so this is what we're trying to build, the Beyond Collective. You know what I mean? So join in if you're thinking about building in Ghana, moving to Ghana, retiring in Ghana. It's what we're doing to move forward, is to help those diasporians figure it out. You know what I mean? As a collective. And so it's one of those things where I can do things by myself, but I'd rather not. It's like it takes a community. You know what I mean? So used to building a community back in Kansas City. I mentored over 200 boys. I got a food co-op with like 150 some fruit trees, I think, that do like 1 million pounds of fruit in the next 20 years that I built out. So this is part of who I am, man. So just translating it over here in Ghana. You know what I mean? Just trying to have an impact and impact as many lives as possible on this side of the water. So I appreciate you, brother, for having me on. I'll make my way to Sierra Leone at some point in time, you know what I mean, and try to get my citizenship over there.
We in there. Hey, everyone, thank you so much for joining. Like, share, subscribe. Until next time, family, Dynasty Mirror Search for Huru. Peace.